Everything was set for my wedding. At least, that's what I thought. My sister sent a message just moments before the ceremony, telling me that everyone was at my engagement dinner instead. Then minutes later my mom texted saying, "By the way, I used your card for all $5,100. Add more funds to it." I simply responded, "Understood." That evening, I stood alone, saying my vows in front of 47 empty chairs. At 3 a.m., I sent a message to the family chat with a single line. "You'll want to watch this before Grandpa sees it." My name's David, I'm 33, and I work as an IT contractor, mainly supporting small businesses. It's not glamorous work, but it gives me enough income and freedom to live the way I want. I'm not the life of the party, nor the one who craves attention, and I'm definitely not the family favorite. That role has always belonged to my younger sister, Rachel. She's the golden child, outgoing, charismatic, and always the one everyone gravitates toward during family events. Meanwhile, I'm the one who gets asked to fix the Wi-Fi. But that's okay. I've never cared much for the spotlight. I just wanted peace. Last year, I proposed to my girlfriend of 4 years, Jenna. She's the kind of person who writes thank you notes to baristas and brings extra snacks on road trips, just in case someone forgets. She's a good person, and when I asked, she tearfully said yes. We decided to have a small wedding, with just 50 guests, close friends and some family. The venue was a quaint vineyard about an hour outside the city. It wasn't extravagant, but it was beautiful. My parents weren't thrilled that it wasn't a church wedding. Rachel made a joke about it, asking, "So you're having a picnic wedding? How cute." I let it go, as I always did. The plan was simple. A 4 p.m. ceremony, dinner at sunset, with my friend Jake handling the music and Jenna's cousin doing the flowers. Rachel had already RSVP'd, and Mom had said she'd come early to help with the setup. Dad had even agreed to walk Jenna down the aisle since her father had passed away years ago. I'd rented 50 chairs. That morning, Jenna was with her friends in the bridal suite, and I was nervously pacing in my room, checking the time every few minutes. It was 3:30, then 3:45, but no one from my family had arrived. By 3:55, I was drenched in sweat. I texted Rachel, "Are you guys on your way?" The read receipt appeared, then silence. A minute later, I got her reply, "Relax. No one's coming." I stared at the message, confused. Then another one came through. "We're all at my engagement dinner instead." What? 2 minutes later, I got another notification. "By the way, I used your card. All $5,100. Pop some more on it." I didn't respond. I just stood there blinking as the officiant poked his head in and asked, "Are we ready to begin?" I nodded and said, "We are." That night, I stood alone and said my vows to 47 empty chairs. At 3 a.m., I sent a message to the family chat. "You'll want to watch this before Grandpa sees it," with a link to a video attached. Then I went to sleep. To give you some context, Rachel's always been the center of attention in our family. When we were kids, it was the little things. If I got an A, Rachel would get a smile and a compliment, while if I got a B+, I was told, "Try harder next time." When I fixed Mom's laptop, it was just David being David, but when Rachel updated her Instagram, Mom would call and talk about it for an hour. By the time we became adults, it wasn't even subtle anymore. Rachel got a job at a boutique PR firm, while I was working a steady contract doing back-end systems for a medical supply company. My job paid better, had benefits, and came with real responsibility, but guess who got the celebratory dinner with champagne? Not the guy fixing servers, that's for sure. Financially, things got messy fast. Rachel always relied on others to bail her out. She maxed out her first credit card at 23, and Dad paid it off to protect her credit. She was fired from her second job for skipping work, but Mom claimed it was due to a toxic work environment. When Rachel wanted to lease a luxury SUV despite her modest salary, guess who co-signed the loan? Me. It was just for a year, she promised. Until I was promoted, that was 4 years ago. She never received a promotion. I continued receiving the bills. It wasn't that I had an abundance of money. My income was decent, but I was prudent with it. I lived in a modest apartment, drove an old Honda, and ate home-cooked meals nearly every day. Any extra money went straight into savings, always with a mental note. This is for Jenna, for the house, for our wedding, for our life together. Jenna was aware of my financial situation. She wasn't thrilled, but I reassured her. It's just family, they'll come around. And she believed me. I wish she hadn't. My parents treated her like she was just there. Not warm, not exceptional, not like a new daughter, just someone present. My dad always forgot her name when telling stories. Mom once asked her, at Thanksgiving, if she was still working in the bakery business, even though Jenna had been a project coordinator at a publishing company for 2 years. Rachel, of course, absorbed all of this. She always had to be the most attractive person in the room. In our family, that was certainly the case. Every time Jenna wore something nice, Rachel would make a face. Every time Jenna mentioned an achievement at work, Rachel would change the subject. Subtle, cold behavior. Then the engagement happened. I told my parents first. They responded politely. My mom said, "Congratulations." Rachel, however, asked, "You proposed before telling me? That's rude, David." I dismissed it. As we began planning the wedding, we wanted something small. Just 50 people, no church, no extravagant traditions, no speeches, simple vows, and a sunset dinner. Rachel dismissed it as a Pinterest fantasy. Mom kept trying to interfere. "Are you sure you don't want your father to make a toast? He's walking you down the aisle. Isn't that enough?" Jenna tried to keep things calm. "Let's just be kind," she'd say. "It's just one day." I should have seen the red flags when Rachel offered to take care of the cake. We transferred $480 from the wedding fund to her for the order. Weeks passed, and when I asked about it, she told me she had already placed the order. But one night, Jenna found an email invoice showing that Rachel had refunded the cake and spent the money on a spa day with her friends. She didn't even deny it. "Look, I was stressed," she said. "And honestly, no one eats cake at weddings. Just get cupcakes or something." This was 2 months before the wedding. I should have canceled her invite right then, but I didn't. I was still clinging to the hope that my family, despite being dysfunctional, selfish, and oblivious, would come through when it mattered most. Then there was the dress incident. Rachel wore white to Jenna's bridal shower. Not off-white, not cream, full-on bridal white, complete with a sweetheart neckline and matching shoes. Everyone noticed. Jenna didn't say a word. She smiled, greeted the guests, handed out party favors like everything was fine. But when we got home, she cried in the bathroom for half an hour. "I just wanted one day," she said. "Just one day where I wasn't made to feel invisible." I sat outside the door, feeling like the biggest fool in the world. With only 2 weeks until the wedding, deep down I knew something would go wrong. I just didn't think it would be this bad. The wedding day began quietly. I woke up at 6 a.m. to sunlight streaming through the hotel blinds. Jenna was already up, sitting on the floor in her robe, scribbling in a notebook. She looked calm, peaceful, and focused. When I stirred, she smiled. "Writing your vows?" I asked. She nodded. "Almost done." I kissed her shoulder, said I'd give her space, and left to grab some coffee. I planned to stop by the venue early to help with the chairs and do a final check. Just typical groom duties. As I drove, I kept telling myself that everything would be fine. At 10 a.m. my phone buzzed. It was Mom. "Just a heads up, Rachel said there might be a delay. Don't worry." I didn't think much of it. Rachel was always late. Hair, makeup drama. I replied, "Okay, see you by 3. She didn't respond. By 2:30, guests had started arriving. Jenna's friends, my college buddy Jake, who had driven 4 hours to be there. The officiant had set up under the vine-covered arch, and Jenna's cousin had finished arranging the flowers. Everything looked perfect, except the bride was still in her prep room, and my side of the chairs, reserved for family, was completely empty. No mom, no dad, no Rachel. I walked behind the venue building, phone in hand, and texted my sister. "ETA?" A minute later, her bubbles popped up, followed by the message, "Relax. No one's coming." I stared at the screen, unable to process it. My thumb hovered over the phone, unsure of what to say. Then another message appeared. "We're all at my engagement dinner instead." The words didn't make sense. I read them 5 times. I felt a tightness in my chest. Then Mom chimed in with a text. By the way, I used your card. All $5,100. Pop some more on it. I just replied, understood. Then I walked back to the main area. The officiant was looking around nervously. David, he asked, are we ready? I replied, start. I stood at the altar alone. Jenna walked down the aisle, graceful and poised, smiling like nothing had happened, like her groom hadn't been abandoned by his entire family, like we weren't saying our vows in front of 47 guests and 47 empty chairs. She said, I do. I said it back. Everyone clapped. The photographer snapped pictures that looked beautiful at first glance. No one mentioned the half-empty room. We cut the cake. One Jenna had ordered last minute after realizing Rachel hadn't replaced the one she canceled. We danced. My college friend gave a speech. Jenna's uncle played the piano. By 9 p.m., the party ended. We drove back to our hotel in silence. She reached for my hand in the car and squeezed it. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry with her, but because I knew deep down that something inside me had finally broken, like a switch had flipped. Something I had been ignoring for years had finally cracked. On my wedding day, they chose her again. When we got back to the room, Jenna went to wash off. I sat on the edge of the bed, my phone in hand, staring at the photo Rachel had posted on Instagram. It showed her and her fiancé smiling at a rooftop bar with engagement balloons in the background. My parents were there too, glasses raised, matching smiles. I kept looking at the picture, but I didn't cry or throw my phone. I just felt numb. I then opened my laptop. What Rachel and everyone else didn't know was that I had a secret hobby. It wasn't much, just a small YouTube channel I'd started during lockdown. I posted tech tutorials, funny skits, and personal vlogs. Nothing too big, but I kept it going over the years. Slowly, it began to pick up some traction. One of my videos on fixing a common Windows bug had gained a bit of attention. I had 68,000 subscribers, enough to make some extra money, and enough to give me a voice. So that night at 2:53 a.m., I decided to record something. I sat in my wedding clothes, still wrinkled, tie loose, face expressionless, and spoke into the camera. I told my story calmly, without any theatrics, just the truth. Today was supposed to be my wedding day. My family hadn't shown up because they were at my sister's engagement dinner. My mom had even used my card to pay for it. This wasn't about revenge, I said. It was about clarity. It was about years of feeling like second best, of watching my sister manipulate situations and cross lines while getting rewarded for it. It was about being told time and again to stay quiet and not rock the boat until I forgot that I had the right to be angry. I finished the video with a simple message. I'm done. This is the last time I let them take from me. I uploaded the video privately and sent a single message to the family group chat. You'll want to watch this before Grandpa sees it. No emojis, no threats, just the link. Then, I shut off my phone and crawled into bed beside Jenna. That night, for the first time in years, I slept peacefully through the night. When I woke up, there were 53 missed notifications. 4 from my mom, 3 from my dad, 28 from Rachel, and the rest from relatives and random Instagram DMs. The video had gone viral. It blew up in a way I hadn't expected. Turns out, when you post the truth, tagging a post about your family skipping your wedding for your sister's engagement, and including actual evidence like texts, screenshots, and even a bank statement showing a $5,100 charge, people pay attention. It started small, a few hundred views, but then it hit a Reddit thread. From there, TikTok picked it up. In less than 24 hours, my subscriber count jumped from 68K to 150K. The comments were full of support. Dude, this is brutal. I can't believe they did that. Your sister is straight up unfair. Jenna is a queen for standing by you. This hit harder than any family drama movie I've ever seen. Rachel's Instagram went private within 6 hours. My parents stayed silent, not even posting their usual Sunday brunch pictures. The silence was deafening. The family group chat, though, was chaos. My dad was the first to message. David, what is this? Take that video down now. Then my mom. This is deeply unfair. You're airing private family matters online. We were just trying to support Rachel. Then Rachel sent a long message, calling me disgusting and accusing me of twisting everything, with no apology for her actions, just rage that I'd spoken out. I didn't respond. That evening, Jenna made pasta, and we sat down to eat like any other Tuesday. But now, she was sitting next to a husband with a small following online, and a family scandal trending in 3 subreddits. "You okay?" she asked. "I think so," I replied. "Just tired. But I'm proud of you." It meant more to her than she realized. The next few days were a blur. An old professor emailed me. A former coworker reached out saying he and his wife cried watching the video, and even a wedding photographer I didn't know offered us a free photo shoot as a do-over. But what really affected me was my grandpa. 2 days later, he called me, his voice shaking. "David, I watched the video. I always suspected they favored Rachel, but this broke my heart." I didn't say much, just listened. He continued. "If I'd known how bad it was, I would have said something. I should have said something years ago." The next day, he sent Jenna and me a wedding gift. A check for $5,000 with a note. "Use this for something that makes you happy, not them." I cried when I read it. Jenna and I left town for the weekend, heading to a cabin up north for a 2-night stay. There was no Wi-Fi, no texts, just peace, trees, a fireplace, and wine. We needed a break. Meanwhile, back home, things started falling apart for them, not for us. One of Rachel's friends, who had seen the engagement dinner posts, made a comment about the timing. "So, you knew the wedding was that day, and you still chose that moment?" Another friend unfollowed her, then a cousin did the same. The circle began to crumble. I heard from my aunt, my mom's sister, about a heated argument at a family brunch that Sunday. Grandpa had called them selfish and careless. My mom left, and my dad followed. Rachel apparently cried, claiming I had manipulated the internet, whatever that meant. Meanwhile, Jenna and I returned to normal life. She went back to work, and I continued creating content. My inbox was filled with requests for interviews, but I turned them down. This wasn't about fame, it was about moving on, drawing the line. About 2 weeks after the wedding, I got a knock at the door. It was my dad. He looked older, tired. "I just want to talk," he said. Jenna stayed in the other room. I let him sit in the living room. He didn't even touch the glass of water I offered. "I didn't know they were doing that," he began. "I swear I didn't say anything. I thought they were coming later. Your mom said it was just a quick stop at Rachel's event. I didn't know." He trailed off. "Then you saw the chairs?" I asked. He nodded. "And you saw the bill?" He flinched. "I told your mom not to use your card." I told her, but she did. Silence followed. "Why didn't you call me?" I asked. "Why didn't you text or explain?" "I was ashamed," he said softly. "I didn't know what to say." I half believed him. But it didn't matter anymore. "You let her do it," I said. "All of it for years. You let her treat me like an afterthought. You let Rachel take whatever she wanted. You never stopped it." "I know," he replied. "And now it's too late." He looked down. "You can still be her father," I told him. "But you're not mine. Not anymore." He left after that. No yelling, no arguing, just walked out like someone who realized what they had lost. I haven't heard from him since. Jenna and I moved 3 months later to a new apartment, a fresh start. We framed one of the wedding photos, just the 2 of us under the sunset, no crowd, perfect. Sometimes people still recognize me online. They say, "Hey, aren't you the guy from the wedding story?" I smile and say, "Yeah, that was me." And I'm not ashamed because for once, I told the truth and chose peace. Even if it meant cutting ties with people I once called family. It's been 9 months since the wedding. I haven't spoken to my mom since she texted me about using my credit card. She emailed once around Christmas, a short, apologetic message, filled with passive-aggressive jabs about how family should stay private, and how we all make mistakes. I didn't reply. Rachel went completely silent, unfollowing me everywhere. Jenna's friend told us that Rachel had postponed her own wedding plans indefinitely. Apparently, people started dropping off her guest list after the video. She's calling it a spiritual break, but I call it consequences. Dad hasn't reached out again, and that's fine. He made his choice the moment he sat in a restaurant eating crab cakes while his son stood alone in front of 47 empty chairs. People ask if I regret posting the video. Not for a second. It wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming my voice. For too long, I let them rewrite the story, that I was too sensitive, that Rachel just had a big personality, that mom was just trying to help, that dad was caught in the middle. But that wasn't the truth. The truth is, they chose Rachel over and over again while I paid the bills, stayed quiet, and made peace. The truth is, I got erased so many times, I forgot what it felt like to stand up, until I did. And once I did, I never sat back down. Jenna and I are doing better than ever. We had a small celebration with close friends, a sort of wedding 2.0. No pressure, no speeches, just us, some candles, and a taco truck in the backyard. It was perfect. She wears her ring with pride. I see the way people look at us now, not with pity, but with respect, as if we walked through fire and came out stronger, not bitter. We moved to a new apartment across town, smaller but cozy, with fresh walls and no ghosts. Jenna hung our favorite wedding photo in the kitchen. The one where we're dancing alone in the vineyard, surrounded by string lights and empty chairs. Some might think it's sad, but I think it's honest. That photo reminds me of what we survived. Sometimes I wonder if my family will ever change. If they'll ever really see what they did. If they'll ever apologize. Not because they got caught, but because they truly understand. I doubt it. And I've made peace with that. The real victory wasn't exposing them. It was walking away from the guilt, the pressure to keep the peace at the expense of my own mental health, from the idea that I owed them endless patience while they gave me nothing but scraps. I don't owe anyone a place in my life just because we share DNA. Family is supposed to be a place of safety, not a lifelong debt. And when they show you who they are, when they miss your wedding, drain your bank account, and smile about it, believe them. These days, I still get the occasional message from someone who saw the video. Sometimes it's a teenager saying, "Your story gave me courage to speak up." Sometimes it's an adult saying, "That was my childhood too." Sometimes it's just a simple, "Thank you." And every time, I smile because maybe what happened to me wasn't unique. But finally telling the truth? That was mine, and I'm keeping it. If you're reading this, if your family has ever made you feel like a backup plan in your own life, I want you to know something. You don't need their permission to walk away. You don't need their approval to protect your peace. You get to choose who has access to you. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is quietly close the door, without drama, without rage, just with peace. And when that silence sets in, when they finally realize they can't reach you anymore, that's when they'll understand what they lost. And by then, you'll be long gone.